the 12-step program, step 12 is having had this spiritual awakening, something to the effect of, we begin to pass this message on to our fellow suffering human beings, having had this spiritual awakening. I've had many spiritual awakenings, as I'm sure you have too. This is a universal story. We embrace form, and then we leave it behind. And the leaving behind of form sometimes seems like a crisis. There's this book by Pema Chodron called When Things Fall Apart. She instructs us like this. She says, it's not about getting it all together and then keeping it all together. It's about getting it together and then watching it all fall apart over and over again. And I think, even though she calls herself a non-theist, I think that's kind of the thing. I think that's the Christ thing too, is that, they had this thing going, this band of 13 men, is that the story? Plus those that were also attending the meetings or whatever they were. They had something going on, right? It's that they were making profound love to this world. Those men that he had asked to leave, he had approached them and asked them to drop their nets, to leave their business, to leave their livelihood, to leave their families, and these men saw something in the Christ and were like, yes, I want to be with you. I want to live this out. I want to walk this out. I want to see this happen. And they embraced it, right? And they were at this point where, they were going out, they were healing themselves, I believe. They were going out, they were spreading this message, they were seeing healings. They were together, loving one another in ways they had never loved each other before. That's how I understand it, right? Is that this Christ had was basically breaking down these walls, these barriers, and helping these men to love and to see the world in a way that they had never seen it before. And it was so profound that they were going out and helping others to begin to see the world in a different way, right? There were these parables that would be told, and sometimes they would, oh, this is how it is. It's not like that. It's like, yes, God says, be holy as I am holy, but the Christ said, but I'm saying, be compassionate as I am compassionate. Yes? What's that compassion? It's different than holy, isn't it? Holy can so easily become an external thing. Yes? That's kind of what the story is. There's a universal story there. There's a universal story being told where there was a people who had kind of lost touch with the internal, right? And they felt that they had their shit together on the outside. This is the story. This is how I understand the story. That there were these people who felt like, I'm holy because I got the shit together on the outside. And Christ was kind of like, you're like a whitewashed tomb or something like that, right? Just you're clean on the outside, but you're just rot and decay and disgust on the inside. And my friend Andy told me the other day, he's like, Christ raised the bar. He said, not only is it don't commit adultery, but if you have committed adultery in your heart, I want you to look at that. I want you to examine that. Can you see that? Can you be with that? Can you feel that? Can you experience that? This is what's happening in your being. And this is where life, the kingdom of heaven is within. Yes? this still the message? And then, so that bar was raised, and then when we truly start to take a look at what's really happening in here, then that can be devastating, honestly. That's my experience. Once you get that, and you're like, oh, wow. So it's really about what's happening in here. And then you start to look, and this is kind of where the Eastern practices come in. We sit and we observe what's going on in here, and we see how fucking crazy it is. and then the practice is, and have compassion for that. Be with that. Let that be. Pema would say that's the stuff of life. That's juicy. That's stinky. That's, oh yeah. Whew, this is what it's like. I think what she would say. This is what it's like. This is what it's like to be a human. This is what it's like to be divine. This is what it's like. We are all one. The flesh, the spirit. There is no separation. We still talk about like there's separation, and that still works a lot of times, right? It's okay. We still sometimes have to turn left, or we have to turn right? We are in this form as long as we're here. We practice form. I practice my instruments. I learn the patterns and the scales so that I can play right notes, and that's a way that I can communicate with people. And we have religions, right? We have these forms that we adhere to, that we play with, that we practice with. But I think the idea is that none of these forms are the end in itself. The forms are like the finger that's pointing to a moon that's out there, right? And when we enter into these practices, these religions, these sacred things, music, we think this is it. That like this is the thing, right? We're looking at that finger and we're like, oh wow, yes, incredible. But we've yet to really look at what the finger is pointing at, right? Because I guess that's the thing about what the finger is pointing at, is that it's very elusive. It is that which cannot be articulated, right? It is the name above all names. It is the Tao which can be spoken. The Tao which can be named is not the Tao at all, right? Is that why the Jews use the word Hashem? Because they understand this. I think that just means the name, possibly, or this Yahweh idea that it's like the breath of God, that which is unobjectifiable, the great mystery, that which cannot be spoken, yet we continue to speak about it. We continue to point our fingers toward the moon because it's glorious. Are you with me? Are you here with me? I'm here with you. I'm looking into this piece of technology, into this eye, to this lens. Yet today, I'm here with you. Because the great I Am is present here. Yes. As the great I Am, the great isness, that which is this evolving consciousness, is present in you. The great teachers point to the students and say, you are the teacher. You are your own teacher. Let me set you free. The kingdom of heaven is within. So there is no pledge of allegiance to a deity figure, like a magic thing that happens when we believe the right name, or we believe the right. It's not about that. There is a place where we take for me, this is what it's been like, is that I must know, I must understand that isolation, alienation, rejection, these are all deceptions, right? These are all just ego tricks. And I must know that there is a universal, loving intelligence that is embracing me, no matter how I feel. So there is a place where I do have to kind of, take a stand in a sense of like, to not be swept away by all of my own insanity. And I do have to sit and be like, I know that I am held. I am held right now, although I do not feel it. So, there is a commitment there. But what I'm seeing at this stage, or in this state, because I move in and out, but I am making this commitment to that, but to that sense of being held, to know that I am always held. But if I make it about if I make it about requiring someone to believe a certain way in order to join an exclusive club, then that's exactly what it is it's exclusive. It's excluding others. That's what fundamentalism is at its heart. It's this thing that looks like it looks like goodness, but it's actually excluding. It's actually pushing out. And I think that's what the message of the Christ was. Is that arms are wide open. Alienation, isolation is not the true expression of reality. It's not the true nature of reality. Is that not what God is? God is the true nature of reality, yes? The philosophers have been asking that for over 2,500 years, yes? What is the true nature of reality, and what can we actually know? So we release, and we let go. And when we become offended in some way by someone else out there, or even this in here, we release, we let go. And we trust. Who is this I? That I seem to be so mesmerized by. That's what some of my favorite teachers are asked. Who is this I that you keep talking about? I. Is this a reality? Is there really? Or is there one consciousness? Yes, we have our own identities. Yes. I could go on. I'm not going to. I think I'm going to get back on the road. I've got to eventually get to the Florida Keys. I think there's 120 miles of road down there to drive, like of a bridge between these islands. I've never been there. Kyle Carter's there. Ian, Tyson, and Rob. We're going to make some music. God bless you, my friends. God bless you. Namaste.